Welcome to the club, the one that no one wants to join, the Divorce Club. I'm Jen Zingmark, a Christian life coach, and I help men and women dealing with divorce. I have good news for you. There is a path to find hope, healing, and happiness, no matter what your circumstances are. I can help you find joy in your journey. So let's go. I would be so grateful if you would subscribe, rate, and review my show on your favorite podcast player. It is a beautiful, sunny spring day here in South Carolina, and it is 82 degrees, and it is just glorious outside. The sun is shining, and there's a warm breeze, and birds are chirping, and I hope wherever you are while you're listening to this podcast, that you take a few minutes to go outside and enjoy this gorgeous sunshine if the sun is shining where you are, because it is glorious. And I firmly believe that sunshine heals the soul. So get out there and enjoy it. I want to talk to you today about the past. One of the things that separates life coaching from therapy is how much time we spend talking about our past. Many times in traditional therapy, the therapist will ask the client questions and they will share all that they remember about what happened to them in their past. And I understand that there's definitely times and situations that this is necessary and powerful for healing from trauma and serious events in your past or your childhood. But many times it's not. And in coaching, we focus on the present and the future and really focus on helping our clients reach their goals now and in the future, regardless of what happened in the past. It's really interesting when you think about your past, because really the past only exists in your mind. Isn't that mind-blowing when you think about it? It's crazy to think about, but really the past is just the stories that we tell in our own minds about the events that happened in our past. So imagine if you were talking to someone that had amnesia and you got to know them and interact with them, and the past, if they knew nothing of their past, it would have no bearing on the present or the future. They wouldn't be telling, memorized stories about events in their childhood or in their past. And another thing to think about is when you ask a person, let's say a mother or father or child in the same family, to recall an event from, the past 5 or 10 years ago, every person is going to have a different version of that story. And the question is, which one is true? Which one is accurate? Well, each one of the members of the family would believe their own version is true, right? They would all feel that their version is the truth of what actually happened. But really, our own version of the past is only what we tell ourselves, the thoughts that we think about the past. It's really interesting when you think about it. Many times people talk about old wounds or old pain in their past, and really they're just old thoughts that they're continuing to think about the past. It's impossible to feel a feeling and remember that experience in the present from your past. You're really just thinking a thought about the past. You really can't experience pain from your past. What happened in the past is over. And the only experience you're having right now is from the thoughts you're having right now about your past. It's really interesting once you think about it, but it's actually great news. It's the best news ever, because we can choose what we want to think about the past and the present and the future. So it's really the best news ever, because the thoughts that we're having now create the feelings that we're having now, and we can choose to feel however we want about events or situations that have happened in our past. People or experiences or things in our past do not have any power over us today or in the future if we don't allow it. We just have to be empowered to think thoughts on purpose and choose the thoughts that we want to think about our past. It's really the best news ever. And to illustrate this, I want to tell you a story about my past. So I was raised by a single mother who grew up with a very difficult childhood. She experienced a lot of abuse in her upbringing, didn't really have good examples of parents or home life, and therefore experienced a lot of trials in her marriages, and basically was single all of my childhood and her adult life, but tried marriage several times, but it just didn't work. And so she and my mother and father divorced when I was very young. And I really did not grow up with a father in my home. There were, men that my mother married later, but none of them were my father, and none became a father to me. And so I didn't really have that influence in my life growing up. And, I kind of was always seeking that home life that I thought was ideal and that I wanted. And therefore went off to college and got married at a very young age. And I would say I was pretty naive and immature when I got married, and ended up in a marriage that with a man that had a lot of problems that he brought into the marriage and really caused a lot of problems in our marriage, and it was very difficult. And when I got pregnant, I had severe sickness in my pregnancies, just horrible sickness. I was hospitalized and had to have IV treatments and a PICC line, and just extremely ill to the point that I probably wouldn't have survived without medical intervention. And every pregnancy was like that. It was just horrible. Had just a really difficult marriage and ended up divorced and a single mom with 3 young children by the time I was 30 years old. And it was really rough. So I have another version of my life story that I would like to tell. In this version, I was raised by a single mother who was fiercely independent, capable, hardworking, and strong. And she went to work at a very young age and helped to provide for her family when she was 15 years old, and worked hard and actually had a great career and provided very well for me and my sister, and taught both of us to be fiercely independent, strong, capable women. And my mother provided very well for me and my sister. We had every material thing we could ever ask for, paid for all of our college education, and bought us cars, and just seriously gave us everything we could ever ask for, along with unconditional love. And, although she had been raised in an abusive home, she stopped the cycle of abuse and just showered us with more love and affection than we could have ever needed. And I just felt so loved and happy in my childhood. And although I did get married at a young age and, dealt with some trials in my first marriage, I was blessed to be able to stay home with my children and had a great life. And I was able to get great medical care during my pregnancies. Although I was very sick, I had great medical care, and I survived. And as soon as those babies were born, I felt great. I was better than ever. And had my children were born very perfectly healthy with no problems. Although I was very sick, they were perfectly healthy. And my first marriage did end in divorce, but it became a pivotal point in my life, and it deepened my faith and my trust in God, and just deepened my resolve to create the family life that I had already wanted. always. And I met a wonderful, faithful man who also had a daughter the same age as my son. And then we got married and had another baby together. And now we have this beautiful family of 5 children together. And we've had a loving, fulfilling, committed marriage for the last 17 years. And because my husband and I both had experienced, difficult first marriages, our marriage to each other has been deeply committed and one that has been so fulfilling and rewarding. And I think part of that is because we both understand the value of having a faith-filled, committed marriage, and we're both resolved to work hard at it and make it the marriage we want it to be. And because of the experiences that I had going through divorce, it led me to coaching and led me to be able to help other men and women who've gone through similar experiences. And this is the story of my life, another version. As you can see, I can tell the story of my life as a tragedy full of disappointments and sadness and heartache, or I can tell the story of my life as a beautiful story of triumph and in success. And that's how I choose to see it and believe it. And truth, as we know it, is relative. It depends on exactly what events in your past you want to focus on. So the story that you tell about your past depends on what you're choosing to focus on. And something that I have learned in my life is that if we can learn and grow from the trials and tragedies and heartache and sickness and the bad things that happen in our life, they can become beautiful silver linings to the rain clouds and the storms that we experience. And that's a way to have peace with your past and to recognize that everything happens for a reason and that we can create the beautiful life that we want now and in the future. And I love that thought. And I really love that the teaching that Dan Sullivan teaches. And he says that we get to take from our past what we want and we get to leave the rest behind. And I love that. I love that thought. And I choose to take the beautiful triumphs and successes from my past and build on those to create the beautiful future that I want. And many people find the freedom that comes from letting go of the sadness and sorrow of the past. And it's actually a healthy thought to think that everything that happened to me in my past happened exactly the way it was supposed to be to help bring me to this moment that of growth and fulfillment that I have now. And I think that when we can look to our past in that way, we can make peace with it and not let our brain dwell on the negative and the sadness and the sorrow of our past. We can, feel the sadness, experience that and let it go. And then take with us, as Dan Sullivan teaches, the beautiful things that we want to keep, the positive, happy, beautiful moments that help us build and grow and become who we are today. And I love that thought, and I want to leave that with you. And I want to challenge each of you to look to your past and make peace with those things that have happened that were hard and that we wouldn't choose, but that we can learn and grow from if we try and make peace with it and look to the future with hope and optimism. Realize we can create the beautiful lives now and in the future that we desire. And I think part of that comes with letting our past go and accepting that everything has happened for our own good and learning and growth. And it's just a beautiful way to look to the future with peace and fulfillment and to see your past as complete and whole. And I want to challenge everyone to do that, to have a beautiful day. So I hope you all have a great day and a wonderful week. And if you do not have a life coach, I want to know why not. And get on my website at jenzingmark.com and let's set up a time to chat. Let's talk about what we can do to help you reach your goals now and in the future and make peace with your past if that's something that you're struggling with, or your present. If you're dealing with some difficult situations right now, I can help you make peace with those and create the beautiful life that you want to have in your future. So I'd love to help you. If you enjoyed what you have heard here today, please share it with your friends and anyone who might need some love and support. I would be so grateful if you would subscribe, rate, and review my show on your favorite podcast player. Thanks for listening. Bye, y'all. Are you struggling with the trials of divorce? There is a path to find joy in your journey. I would love to help you. Go to jenzingmark.com to get all the info. There you'll find a free download to help you start thinking happier thoughts today. And you can sign up to receive my weekly newsletter. If you like what you've heard here and want to dive deeper into this work, sign up for a free mini session with me. This is just the tip of the iceberg, my friends. There is so much more. I would love to work with you and be your life coach.